Okay, so I introduced myself. I'm Nora, I'm a well-being coach. I help people to change their lifestyles. I combine in my practice nutritional advice, personal training, yoga, and mindfulness practices that help to manage stress and kind of get to know yourself better so you can understand what's happening. So that's in very short about me. And in regards to today's talk, I would like to invite that it's interactive. So I'm going to ask you questions, or you can ask me questions. So we get to clear out things and I get to help you on the spot. Rather than me giving you a prep talk of the theory, this is how it should be, because life is not always, or most of the times, is not exactly as on the paper. So let's keep it real. Okay, so today's talk is how the way we think relates and can help to change what we eat. I would like to start with a memory test of the, if you remember the song Smooth Criminal of Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you have seen, but I hope you have seen the video where he's in the white suit gliding through the room, kicking the criminals and making sure that Annie is safe. He's sliding in his moonwalk, famous one. So hope something comes back to you, because what I'm trying to say is that I would like to invite you to, for a minute, imagine that you're a smooth criminal of your own health and happiness. What I mean is that you are the one making sure that not any is safe, but you are safe and happy. And that's your mission of, at least for this talk, the mission is to onto the healthier eating. And I know the changing old ways and habits aren't easy, that's for sure. And I would like us to just discuss how we can smoothly slide through all of the excuses that come up in our heads, all of the obstacles that are real or in our heads, all of the occasions that sometimes get on the way of healthy eating or intention of healthy eating, all the lie that gets in. I think there's somebody coming in. Hi, Rita. Yes, so all of the obstacles that we create for ourselves and all the obstacles that happen, because life happens. Life happens in terms of us being busy, of us getting ill, our kids getting ill, us working late. So all of this somehow gets in the way of our good intentions of healthy eating, or our testing of healthy eating. So I would like us to think of how can we smoothly kick all of these obstacles and continue journey for healthy and happier life. So how do we do it? It's, to my opinion, it's about 5% of a theory and 95% of a daily grid or daily practice. And today I would like to invite you to think that one of the things is that what you think at all times might not be 100% true. And what I mean by it, that whatever thoughts we are having, we are able to examine by questions if it's true, if and how it relates to the situation. Because sometimes we tell ourselves stories that are not really related to what's actually happening. We continuously go on telling ourselves a story that is a matter actually of us picking some facts and creating the meaning out of it. So how does that relate to healthy eating? You can simply ask yourself simple questions of, does this food is the most nutritious for my health? Simply focusing on the nutritional value of how much vitamins and minerals and enzymes and antioxidants are in the foods. Is that something that is supporting my health? Or how this food supports my life goals. So if you know your life goals, and for example, for now, I would assume that your life goal is to live happy and healthy life. So in a one way, how whatever is in front of me and I'm going to put in my mouth is supporting that. Is it that support? Is that supporting it? And then looking at the food that and examining, do I really, what I want is this food. And if I want this specific food, why do I want it? Because it's salty, because it's bitter, because it's sour, because it's sweet. Is it the taste that I'm looking for? Is there something else? Is it a memory of the food or emotional attachment to the food that I'm craving? So what is the real craving behind it? So just examining these few questions. And if I can ask on this first point, do you feel it relates to you? And how that relates to you? You can write it if you don't want to speak. That's completely fine. Do you recognize that some of the foods might be problematic for you, or you would like to change something with certain foods?
Yes, sure.
And can you give me an example of the food that, for example?
For example, I know that bread is not good for me, but I can't stop eating bread. The only way to stop eating is not to buy it. But if it's in my house, I will eat it. And it's not good to, because if you're somewhere else and there's bread, you need to be able not to touch it. So that's an example.
Yes, and what is about the bread that you like?
Its taste, its texture, how it goes with other foods. Because if you want to make a sandwich, if you make it in lettuce, it doesn't taste as much as good as if you make it in bread. So,
Luna is exactly the same.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. But what is the about the bread that is making us so attached to it?
Well, there's definitely a habit, because I've been eating that since I was a child, but
the taste?
Yeah.
The taste? We cannot hear you. Ah, you disappeared. Zoom is playing turns on us today. No, we cannot hear you.
Hi, my sound disappeared.
Now we hear you.
You're back.
You're back.
Okay. Something happened and I was talking to myself.
Yeah, it's weird.
Okay, it's good that you can hear me now. So what I was trying to say is that definitely we get acquired taste, but what is sometimes about the foods is that there is some kind of attachment to it. One obviously is convenience. The sandwich itself has been a convenience. For example, I'm just taking it as an example, the sandwich. But it's also sometimes an emotional attachment to somebody who was making the sandwich. And it's maybe not present anymore. Like we are not thinking that when I was a 3-year-old, my grandmother made me a sandwich and that made me love the sandwich. It doesn't come as a conscious thought, but it might be somewhere on the back that gives us a feeling of safety. So what I'm trying to say is that some of the foods we have deeper attachment to, and sometimes is not really obvious, like something as ordinary like bread, or something very ordinary like sandwich, or I don't know, biscuits. For different people it's different things, obviously. For some cultures it's completely different things, but there usually is some kind of attachment to something that we cannot give up. And also, again, asking yourself, why are we thinking that we cannot? Because truly there is no an obstacle, not to do it or do it.
It's just so good.
Yes, it's just figuring out what is so good about it.
But sometimes it's like addiction, you know, when you are used to something and you eat it on daily basis, it's like an addiction, you know, you crave for it.
Yes, and I get it. There is definitely a biological part of it, and it's also the way we think about it. So when we think about a bread, what is there a good thing about it? In terms of like going back to the same questions of, does this food is the most nutritious? So what does the bread actually contain to give me?
I tell you
Like,
something. My experience. Sorry, Rita, you're talking.
Yes.
Go ahead.
It's okay. No problem.
I'm just saying that, yes, this is how sometimes it happens. For example, chocolate. And this is one of the things that I don't like to eat because like I don't crave it, but like I like it. So when I eat it, I think about it actually. And I think, okay, if I eat it, I know it's not good for me. And I know that I'm gonna, and I know this and I know that it's in my thinking. That's why I know. And I'm not addicted to it. I can stop it for like 2 months. I don't care. But yeah, it's when I think about it and I'm like, okay, it's in my head, and I keep thinking about it and thinking about it, and then I would go and buy it. It's not at home, right? I don't put chocolate at home except the ones that I cook with, I bake with. But like the chocolate that's, so yeah, it's for me it is related more to thinking than to addiction. For me, in my way of eating, it's not an addiction. I don't know, it could be an addiction in another way.
That's a very good point, and I was going to that's something next. One is that we can inspect like the foods that are in front of us. So let's agree that we want to give ourselves the best food possible that is going to support our health. I'm assuming that the one of the life priorities or goals for you is to be healthy. So in order to be healthy, we need to eat something that is healthy, something that is full of vitamins, that is rich in minerals, antioxidants, and so on. So my invitation, therefore, stands that once we have food in front of us, that we actually inspect it. Like, okay, does like a simple white bread is the best option of a bread I can get? Does it give me the best value I can get out of this bread? Like, does it give me all the vitamins, all the minerals that it can have? Or maybe there is another option on the market that is more rich with the vitamins. Maybe there is a whole food seed bread that has more vitamins, more minerals inside of it, and so on. So just in inspecting this food and understanding that for my life goal to support my health, I would need to give my body the best option of the certain food. Yeah. And then obviously understanding the attachment to it. And like, okay, this is the bad food or the good food, but maybe we cannot, but maybe we shouldn't be marking it, or we can skip the marking of a good and a bad food. Just understanding where does it come from. Because really at the same, it's not, the food itself is not good or bad. It's just how much of it we are having, how often we are having of it, and how does it support us at the end of the day. And then going back to this thinking, the second thing that I wanted to mention is that one, we can inspect, and knowing that that at all times what we think is not 100% truth, it's just a part of the story. That's a one knowledge that I would like to offer. And then the second one is that we are in charge of the thoughts we are creating. So at any given time, we can create any given thought that is going to support our goal instead of making an obstacle to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but sorry, but can I say something?
Sure.
Sometimes we decide and we our way of thinking is we set our mind in a certain way, but the problem is sometimes the social activities and the social gathering don't help us. I speak for myself, for example. I'm a vegetarian since 2013. And when I'm invited to dinners or lunch, people forget that I don't eat meat and chicken. So I end up with, eating salads if there is a salad on the table, and very limited choices. And I try to stop sugar because for me, I know that white sugar is not healthy at all. The problem is that when they bring you the sweets at the end, and in Lebanon we have like a table of sweets. It's not like one kind of sweet and that's it. On birthdays they do big cakes, and they do cakes. So even if I want to stop sugar, it's not easy. If I decide that I will not eat, maybe I'll eat once a week if I'm invited. You end up in social events where you are obliged to eat. Otherwise, you have to do like a lecture about sugar, and you're not in the mood to talk about it. So you just eat a bite and that's it. But still, till now, I'm not able to cut the white sugar completely from my diet.
And what I'm hearing, that's because of the social gatherings. Did I understand it right?
Yes.
Can I answer? Can I give an answer?
Okay, Rita, go for it. Sure.
I'll tell you what I do, Rita.
Yeah.
Because when I started being vegan, people used to laugh at me. You're weird, you're lean. So I don't tell anyone that I don't eat meat and chicken. And if I get to a dinner where there's nothing for me to eat, I tell them, well, that's good. I have stomach pain and I cannot eat anything, but I'm here for the company. And they love it because you're there to be with them, right? And they appreciate it. And I just have a tea or something. And the way that helped me in stopping the sugar, the sweets, because I have a sweet tooth, used to have, is the thinking. I go back to the thinking, Nora. I think that food, what is it going to do to me? And that's what stops me actually from eating bad food, like bad for my body. I think if I eat that piece of bread, let's say, I imagine it when it goes into my body. What is it going to do? How is it going to go? How is it going to get processed? What am I going to feel tomorrow? And that stops me from eating that bread. And the sugar and the sweets. Like, for example, the Lebanese sweets, I look at them straight away. I know how my body is going to feel tomorrow. I don't eat it. And I know it tastes good. If I eat a piece, or if I eat 2-3 pieces, I love it. It's good. But I know how it's going to feel tomorrow. Maya is asking what does it do for me. I feel it. I feel my skin. I feel, maybe because I'm aware of my body. I don't know. I mean, maybe Nora, you have an answer. I don't know. I personally, because I'm aware of my body, I feel the food. I feel the drinks. I feel what I put in my body. But that's my answer.
I understand, Rita. I feel the food, but for some reason I just can't stop myself doing, even though I know it's bad and it's gonna, and I feel that for some reason that the fact that it's there and that there's the immediate gratification, that's enough for me to eat it.
We go back to the thinking. I don't know. I let Dora answer because I don't want to take over the talking. But
it's a great answer, because it leads to the point that you already have done a lot. Like, if I can use you, Rita, as an example, that what Rita was just saying was that she has done already as kind of a self-introspection. So I know I like it. So there are ways that I can create for myself to stop it. Like, one is to say people that at the moment I'm here for the company. I have an obstacle, or there is a reason I cannot have it right now. But really, the food is not the point why I'm here. I'm here to spend the time. So turning from the food, a focus from the food of the person of the company to them, because you are there for them. That's one of the things. The second thing that I was going to mention, many people that are vegetarians or vegans, they carry food around. And I have done it many times also, to bring the social gatherings my own food. And people like it. They appreciate that you have made something, or I have made something, and also I have something to eat that I actually like, and it's good for me. So there's like a win-win-win-win-win, and people start asking recipes. So it's also a discussion point, and so on. So it can be something beneficial for all. One of the strategies, but really it's having that mindset approach that it is possible. It's not impossible. It is possible to figure it out, how to approach it in the way to reach your goal. Understanding the priority of your health, your health is your priority. And whatever is your goal, let's say your goal is to be successful in the life, or to have a wonderful family life, or to have a long life and see your kids grow up and have grandchildren, and so on and so on. All of it is supported by good health. So at all given times, the good health is the number one priority for any goal to be reached. Because for reaching any goal, you need to be in a good health, in a good mental state, with a lot of energy, and so on and so on. So eventually it all ends up by the good health. That's why I'm assuming that you are all here for a good health reason.
Thank you.
Going back also to the sorry, Rita, I'm going to use your example again.
Yeah.
What Rita was saying, that when she thinks of the foods that she's going to eat, the process of it, let's say the technical bit of it is like warming some of the thoughts while cooling something else, like by cooling the craving thoughts. So what Rita does, she says, okay, I'm thinking of a piece of the bread that I'm going to eat. And I'm physically feeling or imagining what it does to my body internally. So internally, I'm scanning and I'm understanding what it's going to do to my body, how I'm going to feel about it, and how I'm going to feel tomorrow. So it's bringing it's warming up the negative effects of what I don't want to, versus the instant gratification that, yes, and Rita said, I like the sweet taste. I have the sweet tooth. I like this sweet, but I know what it's going to do to me. tomorrow, how I'm going to feel tomorrow. So instead of giving into the craving, which is there because I like it, I don't give in because I'm cooling my craving by imagining the bad effects of it. So automatically I'm reasoning with myself and I'm giving myself enough reasons not to do it. Because if we think of like a thinking, food is a very complex thing because it sits in the primal brain for our survival and so on. And for the pleasure of it, it also depends on our primal brain, which is like sits at the back of the head, and it's the one that is the strongest, and it's always gonna outrun us. It's always gonna outrun us in terms of like our reasoning, our consciousness, and so on. But the question is how to cool down that immediate response. I need this bit right now, otherwise I'm gonna die. This is you know, that my survival depends on this one piece of chocolate. And how to cool that instant gratification down. And then Rita has an amazing strategy for it. And this is the way of like understanding where is the trigger, which one is that if bet, if moment. When you have this if moment, if I'm not gonna have it, this is gonna be very bad. Like, or if I'm gonna say to my relatives or my like friends or that I'm having social gathering with, that I cannot have the piece of their cake. Maybe it's gonna bring me a feeling of exclusion, feeling of difference. Maybe I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings, because it also depends on our survival somewhere at the back of our brain. We need to be part of the community. This is how humans survive at the end of the day. So it becomes this, the third thing that I'm trying to explain is the, yes, Linda, sense of belonging. That we can manipulate in a way our thinking by cooling down the cravings, because they are very sensational. Our cravings are usually like, oh, I'm gonna feel so much pleasure, it's gonna be like amazing, and the chocolate is gonna melt in my mouth and I already can feel it and all the sensations that it brings. I'm giving a chocolate as an example, or the bread is going to feel so amazing, it's going to be so soft, and so on, so on. Cravings usually come in some kind of sensation. It's not just like I want the bread. There is some association with it, or it's a warm piece of a bread, or it's like, I don't know, a pizza with a melting cheese on it and all the sensations that it brings. And it's a hot bit. And then learning how to cool it by, for example, instantly thinking of how am I going to feel tomorrow, how my goal is going to be affected, that, I don't know, every time because most of the time when we give in to the some kind of a craving, and when we overdo it, we feel bad later, afterwards. So in the moment of the craving is switching onto the giving yourself a cold shower of reality of that this chocolate is not gonna save my life in a way.
How about if you're like, it's not a craving, it's just that you're going through your day, and sometimes you have, either if you're studying, you're reading, you're doing other stuff, and you really need to have some sweets to keep going. You feel like that your energy is going down, or I'm not going to focus anymore, I need something to keep me going, and you're not in a habit of drinking coffee, or those, something that contains caffeine usually, but you're eating still chocolate which has caffeine, which is ironic. But what I mean is, sometimes, do you think that insulin might be down, so that's why you have like necessity to eat that piece of chocolate, or piece of sugar, or piece of sweets, because some people they gain energy from sweets. I know, let's face it. And
Yeah,
either
definitely. I mean, nutritionally, our primary energy comes from a carbohydrate.
yeah,
And the simple sugar, which is in the sweets, in the chocolates, in the biscuits, in that type of a processed foods, is easy accessible. We eat it. Our sugar levels go up because it's a simple carbohydrate. It goes, and it's already processed, so it gets processed quickly. But then again, is it the best source? Because also a fruit is a sugar. And within the fruit, there is a sugar. It's just, in addition to a sugar, there are vitamins, minerals, antioxidants that are also going to nourish the rest of the body. And it's also going to nourish the brain and bring more energy and vitality to it. It's
yeah. So I agree also with Linda. I've been vegetarian for over 10 years now, if not more. And so sometimes I worry if I'm having all the vitamins. I mean, I know that I get a lot of vitamins from the food that I'm eating, but what if you're sometimes missing a vitamin, and this is causes your health to, you know, maybe have like some difficulties. So, what do you advise for vegetarians and vegans?
I mean, the simple way of obviously is to do the blood test on a regular basis to understand if you are missing. Okay, vegetarians and vegans, obviously, I would suggest to do a regular scan of iron, especially if a vegetarian or vegan is female. Obviously, B12, vitamin D, and then it's obviously depends. The rest of it depends on the food intake and nutrition on the daily basis. If the foods that person eats are the same, that maybe there's some kind of a deficit that not in the food on a daily basis. But the easiest ways to do it is to run some of the tests on a day, on not on a daily, sorry, on a yearly basis or a 6 months basis, depending how long you have been vegetarian or vegan. And then in terms of cravings, just to add to it, there are some of the cravings that are because we are deprived in some of the vitamins or minerals. There are, for example, people who continuously crave chocolate. Maybe they are deficient in iron or in magnesium, because cacao in a raw state of it is rich of iron and magnesium. It also has a calcium and so on, but a blood test is the best option to identify. In terms of blood tests, really, I think usually going to the GP and explaining that you want to test for a basic, like vitamin deficiencies and mineral deficiencies, that there is one to suggest. Doing an iron test, I think if the level of ferritin is better to do a scan of ferritin rather than the iron, because the ferritin is going to expose how much of a saved iron you have, because we also store it in the hair. So sometimes if we start losing excessive amount of hair, one of the reasons is that we are becoming deficient in iron. We are very deficient, not low on the iron. And a simple test of iron might not show it. And the ferritin levels might show it.
You know something, that when I used to eat meat, I've always been anemic. I used to be anemic all the time. And after I shifted and stopped eating meat, chicken, and cold cuts and cheese, that when I became vegetarian and then eventually vegan, I have no anemia, nothing, no anemia, nothing. So I think it's also the quality of the food that we are eating, and the quality and the variety. I think you just talked about that.
Yes, variety is really important.
yeah, the variety. And that's what I realized, I discovered in my own journey of eating healthy, like the quality and the variety of the food. Because if we always eat the same thing, yeah, we will miss some vitamins, some nutrients, something.
Yes, and for many reasons, it's the same applies to a meat eater. That if meat eater eats exactly the same food and on a quite regular basis without changing, it's gonna be deprived on anything. It doesn't really depend on like vegetarian or vegan. I mean, vegans are more, let's say, vulnerable to the point that for some of the vitamins they really have to consider including certain foods in their diet. But even for a meat eater who eats the same foods on a regular basis, they also can become quite deficient in different minerals or vitamins.
I think also the source of the food that you are bringing, it's very important that you are bringing fresh vegetables and fruits from people they planted. If you are eating meat and chicken, the source, the chicken is fresh, and the person who is the origin of the products you are bringing is very important for you to know from where you are getting your stuff.
Exactly, and I completely agree. And it also goes again back to the point of, is this food the best food on the market, or is this the best nutritional food for me? And this applies on all levels. It's like, if I'm eating meat, is it the best? Do I know the origin? Does it the most nutritional what this chicken has eaten? Because, for example, I don't advocate everybody to become vegan or everybody to become vegetarian. There is no one key that unlocks all the locks. For some people, they have to eat meat. For some people, it's better if they don't, and so on. But the origin of the food is very important. As you said before, yes, it relates to many things. It's like if the food is sprayed with pesticides and herbicides and fungicides, it has absorbed some of it. So we end up eating that bit. And it also becomes deprived in minerals. This is why so many of us become deprived in minerals, because the soil doesn't contain enough minerals, because it has been sprayed, it has been depleted, and so on. So the food doesn't contain anymore as much of vitamins as it used to be when it was grown in a natural way.
Mm.
So I wanted to ask, I used to, and I still do have IBS syndrome. I used to feel so much pain before I became vegetarian, and then when I became vegetarian, it was all gone. But I still suffer some cases because of the cold weather. Uh, I mean, I'm eating, I think, more healthier now than I did ever before as being vegetarian, and I'm happy with it. Except sometimes I struggle with not so much intake of some of grains, because if I eat too much grains, especially peas, I feel like horrible after. Like some sort of grains, not all of it. What do you think that starts to happen? Either like peas or parsley, or in some sort of you know vegetables that starts to annoy the body, especially with IBS.
Okay, IBS is a special case in general. Some of the foods can be triggering. Like for many people, there are some specific foods that are triggering. So usually there are ways of, let's say, testing, going sometime off all the foods that are possibly triggering and then testing them. I think working with a health practitioner that can help with that, like to support you on going for some time without these foods that seem to be triggering, and then testing one by one to understanding what are the foods that actually trigger. But in general, greens and raw vegetables at some point can be triggered, can be difficult for some of the people. And then instead of eating them raw, in a raw state, it's a possibility to steam them. Lightly steam them so they are easier to assimilate for the digestive system, but still they contain vitamins, so that they are not completely cooked, but they are not completely raw yet. Does it make sense?
You know what I do instead of steaming them? I found a way to do them. Yeah, the cruciferous vegetables as well. You know what I do? I just boil water, put it in a bowl, and then put the vegetables in the boiled water for like 5-6 minutes instead of steaming them. I noticed that they become like, they're not raw and they're not cooked. And this, the rawness, the raw, or like the raw state of it goes away. I just found this way of doing it. I found it.
Yes, it's like kind of a longer blanching in a way.
Yes.
That's something that can be helpful. And also looking how much, because IBS obviously is connected to the how much good bacteria is within the digestive system. So that also obviously relates to how the food is digested and so on. So looking at that, obviously, because IBS is a certain health condition, is the best to work in the combination with a health practitioner and somebody who does nutrition and can guide, is the best option. I have had a couple of clients that had IBS, and in combination with their health practitioner, gastroenterologist, we have found the ways how people can avoid like the triggering foods, and how we can find what is the best and the best way to eat, not to interfere too much with the personal life as well, because that becomes as well disappointing.
Sorry, one question.
Yes.
When we boil the vegetables in water, all the vitamins will go in the water, or they will still have vitamins in them?
It depends, obviously, how much you're going to boil them, but in some vitamins are going to go, not to return again. they're going to be gone, but some are going to remain. I mean, that's why usually people there is a big support of a raw vegetable, because it contains the most of the vitamins, let's say. But also having soups, and especially in the cold weather, it's also a nutritious way of eating.
Thank you. What about sprouted, beans? When you sprout the beans, can you cook them after, or you just eat them raw?
I think you can apply some of the heat in a way. I mean, you definitely can, but what I wouldn't advise is to cook them, because the sprouts contain a big amount of enzymes, which are live enzymes, and they are really good for the fueling the body. But if you find particularly hard to have something raw, you can slightly steam them or apply Rita's technology of just putting them in the heat for some time and then eating. But sprouts in general are really, really good, because the sprout is the seed at its best, at its most energy.
That's what I do with the sprouts. If I want to cook them, I don't cook them. I put them in boiled water so that they just sleep. Because when they are raw, they have lots of, there's a lot of risk of bacteria in them when they are raw. We can only eat like a handful. I've been reading about this because I found out. I used to eat a lot of raw sprouts, and it seems that there's some bacteria in them that affects the intestines. So I started putting them for like 5 minutes in the boiling water until just they sleep, not cooking them, right? And then I can put them and add them to any dish that I'm cooking, that at the end. I put it at the end, you know, so that it doesn't take too much fire. It doesn't stay on the heat too much. But yes, like you're saying, Nora, it has a lot of nutrition. Yeah.
It's like a bomb. It's like a, you know, if you think of, I don't know, if you think of broccoli being an amazing food as a superpower, then the broccoli seed is the ultimate superpower.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Thank you.
And then another strategy that I just wanted to mention, and maybe if you have some questions regarding it, is that many times what we do, we focus on cutting out. So from tomorrow or from Monday, I'm not going to eat chocolate. That's it. I have decided it's not going to happen. Or I don't know, I'm not going to eat French fries or crisps or whatever it is. We decide we are not gonna, and we are focusing on cutting it out. And by cutting it out, we create vacuum, and then something is missing out. We are like, there is a vacuum, there is an, you know, is an empty spot. And then my suggestion or my proposal is to focus on adding, to not go the old ways maybe and identify bad guys. Okay, my diet consists these bad guys: a chocolate, a crisps, biscuits, 3 glasses of wine that I regularly, or I finish the whole bottle of wine on a weekly basis. And then I have these bad guys, and then from next Monday, I'm definitely not doing it. This is it. I have decided this is not going to happen. And then next Monday comes, and then Monday is good, Tuesday is good. So on Wednesday, I had a fight at work with a colleague, or I'm missing a deadline, I have to do it. The wine is here, and wine without the chocolate cannot be. And then I'm on it again, and by Thursday I'm like, okay, bad guys are back, let's bring them all.
Let's
bring them all. So if it's bad, let's make a party with all of them. And then what I'm trying to propose is that without focusing that, okay, I have these bad guys, good, I have identified, but without thinking to kick them out of the party, to bring the good guys on the party, to crowd them out, to say, and then to bring an orange and the banana and the 2 liters of water instead of the bottle of wine. And then not instead, but thinking that, focusing on the adding like, oh, I haven't eaten this vegetable ever, so I'm bringing it into the party. I haven't tried this, I'm bringing this into the party. Deciding the list, a counter list, let's say I have 5 bad guys. So to crowd out these 5 bad guys, which I'm not going to cut out, they are, I'm still allowed. I'm going to bring 10 good guys into my on my weekly basis. I'm going to bring an oats. I'm going to bring oranges, bananas, pineapple. I haven't tried papaya. And then also dragon fruit I have never tried. So I'm going to buy this week a dragon fruit. And then I'm also going to have 3 salads. And then I'm having a list of 10 good guys that I have to include. There is no other way. It's not like I'm not allowed a wine. I can have a wine, but I also have to somehow invite into the party another 10 guys. So the space in my stomach is limited. At some point, I'm going to be full. So there's going to be no space for my wine or for the crisp or for the chocolate.
But the problem with that, for me, I don't know about the others, but I would say for me, the problem with that is that the bad guys are still there and they're calling me and they want to join the party. And if they're there and calling me, I want to go and bring them. Then if I have some crisps, the taste of the orange or the taste of the pineapple would become because the taste of the chips and the chocolate is so, it satisfies so the taste of the good food would taste not good. While when I stop eating the chips and the chocolate for a while, when I eat the fruits, it's a delight for me,
Mm-hmm.
So that's so true.
Yeah, but having them together at the same party, that's danger zone.
Yeah, it is danger zone. But what I'm trying, I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say, because
Tell me.
many of my clients say, okay, I wasn't really an addict of chocolate, but since I have decided to cut out the chocolate, all I want to do is to eat chocolate.
I'll get the chocolate. Yeah, that's 100. Yeah, it's
No,
true.
I absolutely love that adding stuff to it, because I think when there's a conscious thought to taking it out, it's harder for me. But if I think, oh, I've got to add all of this different fruits or veg or whatever it is I want to try, then maybe I don't have as much space for the bad stuff, you know, because I've got to make provision for the good stuff. So I think as a beginner, it helps more with the adding, and I'm more likely to try it than cutting out stuff, because, you know, addiction.
It's just a switching from this, like, oh, I'm deprived. Now I have to make all of these cuts and nothing is coming in.
No,
So-
100. No, I agree. Cutting a lot of things at the same time, that's suffering. That's true. It's true. I agree. I'm just trying to.
I understand exactly. At some point it becomes a danger zone.
Yes.
But then again, there can be a different strategy for it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I have found for many clients, and also at some times for me myself, just cutting something out creates this enormous mental pressure that now I have to say goodbye to this one thing that I love so much for forever. That's it. It's not coming back. So sometimes, you know, and it's the switching within our thinking. And sometimes I ask my clients is like, okay, if the problematic food is the chocolate or the bread or the biscuits, imagine that all you are allowed since tomorrow is the bread or is the biscuits or is the chocolate. How are you feeling? Do you really want to eat it that much? I mean, you are going to eat it tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and that's what you get. That's all you get. And then for some of the people, you know, the mental pressure is released. It's like how long you are going to be curious or interested in this one food. Even the most amazing food, the most, I don't know, even crisps get boring at some point.
It's not just boring, the body, you get nauseous at the end. Yeah.
So,
but also to go back to the thinking, the way I would start, I mean, like Linda said, that works for her, right? Like some things work for different people. And what works for me is that I tell myself, if I cannot eat, I'm going to stop chocolate on Monday. Let's say chocolate. I give the example of chocolate. Let's say I want to stop chocolate on Monday and for 6 days. And then the 7th day, I can eat chocolate. I give myself allowance after 7 days. So it's not for life. If I say I'm going to stop it for life, I would die. But if
that's it.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be stopped for life. You know, you just give yourself that I can stop it for 6 days. Then on the 7th day, I can eat it. You know what? Sometimes the 7th day comes and I don't eat it because I have something else to do and I don't feel like eating it. But that's the strategy that helped me cut off sugar. That's the strategy that helped me cut off sugar.
I think that's equally valid. I don't know. At least maybe I haven't tried or exercised the sort of discipline for that. But I actually, here's the thing. I hate saying no to myself because I like to live in a world of abundance where like you can have whatever you want and whatever. So as soon as I say no to myself, it completely goes against what I believe in, and therefore then I'm in conflict with myself. Whereas if I add more stuff, then I can sort of
makes sense.
unconsciously eliminate the stuff that I don't want.
Yes, and you can always, the thing is that it's not like the one strategy is going to work for the rest of the life. It's like one of the strategies might work for now.
Yes, for sure.
And then like, okay, like I have tried so many vegetables, and now I have found the healthy foods that I like, and now I found like the way of preparing this food that I like and is healthy, and so on. And then maybe at some stage I'm, you know, ready for a different strategy. Maybe now I'm ready to understand what are my emotional connection to some of the foods, why some of the foods are, you know, so important for me that I cannot let them go, or how these foods specifically supporting my life goals. Are there foods that support my life goals?
Yeah.
And it's a continuation. It's like it's a continuous,
it's a way of life.
experiment in a way. It's a continuous, you know, progress. It's never like, you know, okay, this is it, this is the I have found the, you know, the gold, and that's never gonna change.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Well,
just
I mean, also, you know, food is pleasure. We need to have, we need to enjoy it also. If it's once in a while we pamper ourselves, it's not a big deal. It's not like we have to be careful on daily basis, and then, you know, enjoy it once in a while.
Yes, I completely agree. It's what gets us to the result that we want, to our goals, whatever it is, a better health, I don't know, losing certain amount of weight, or, you know, getting to a smoother skin, better hair, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. Whatever goal it is, it's the continuation and consistency in it. It doesn't matter if it's like on Sundays I ate a, you know, I don't know, a bar of chocolate, or I don't know, a pack of biscuits. It is not going to make such a big difference if the rest of the 6 days I did my really best and I didn't eat the biscuits. You know, I stayed and I asked myself, is this the best nutritious food I ate? And I sincerely could say, this is the best food I'm eating and is serving my life goals. If on the yearly count, if 350 days I'm eating the most precious nutritious food, and then 15 days somewhere in occasion, randomly 1 or 2 days in a month or so on, my foot slips and I go off the track, it doesn't make such a big impact. Or if I go and celebrate my birthday, my, I don't know, the wedding, christening, anything, it doesn't really make such a big difference. Tomorrow I'm back on the road of expressing my of experimenting with the food and staying curious what can serve me best. Then it doesn't really matter that 1 or 2 days here and there.
Yeah.
True.
So on the wrap up, I'm just going to remind you of the strategies that we looked at. So the strategy 1 was that knowledge that at all times what we think is just our story and it's not 100% true. It's based on some of the facts that we have connected some in some of the ways and created some connection and a story behind it that sounds good enough for our brain to explain one thing or another, or how this food is so amazing, or why is this sort of food amazing, or this food I don't like for certain reasons, and then we give ourselves a reason. But when we went under more examination, it appears maybe not to be so true anymore. So the questions that we can ask is the most nutritious food, focusing on the nutritional value, and then seeing how the food that we eat on a daily basis supports our life goals, and seeing how the food is related to me emotionally, with some memories, with my beliefs about certain foods that are good or bad. Have I marked some foods as good or bad? Can I unmark them as a good or bad? So just evaluation of that. Then the second one was to see how we can see to create thoughts about the foods that are on our plate, and be a continuous active creator of thoughts regarding our food that support the life goals that we want. And then the third one is the crowding out the bad guys by bringing more good guys. Really staying open, curious, bringing more interesting foods, and bringing variety, because what we also mentioned was that variety is that gives you the most nutrition. Even though it doesn't matter what diet you are on, keto, vegan, paleo, any diet that you are in, the most various foods you eat, the better. So that's about 3 that I propose today. Do you have any questions? Anything you want to ask me?
Yes, I would like to ask you a question, and well, it's been there for a while. I've been thinking of it for a while. Why before or during or after periods directly you crave, but you crave to eat something, but you don't know what you're craving? You stand like in front of the refrigerator and asking yourself, why? What do I want to eat? And you might stay like this for an hour or so.
And do you usually find the things that you want?
No. That's the thing. No. Is there science behind it, or what is that? I mean, why?
With women on periods, there is a science behind it. There is science behind it, and there is an amazing book that is really explains it really well. It's called Period Power. It's a book that came out in 2019. It's written by a British lady. You can look it up. It's an amazing book, and it explains really in a simple words what happens with the women during the period at all times. So starting from the first day of
Can you repeat it again?
the whole process. Sorry?
Can you repeat again the name?
The name is the Period Power.
Thank you.
She talks a lot about this, the scientific basis, what physiologically happens and so on. And she also explains how it relates to our emotions, how we can recognize. And I would suggest it to read it to anyone who has interest in the period, whatsoever is happening there. I mean, to every woman at any stage. Also, there is a lot of information about pre-menopause, menopause, and so on. So that's that. And also talking about books, going back to this changing the habits, there is one that is really good. I brought it with me. So it's the marshmallow test, which talks about this cooling one part of the thoughts and one part of the brain, and activating or warming up the different one, and discovering what are the triggers, because also the emotional triggers are important in this. So this is a really nice book, and it's really easy read, and it's also written by the researcher. And then there is another one that is the power of the habit, how to change habits, because we are all animals of habits. And a lot of people say, oh, I hate routine and I don't like, but actually we all have a certain routine. Even people that hate routine have a routine of not having it, of trying to escape it. And there is always, they also have a routinely strategy how to escape it. So they are also having a routine of escaping the routine. So yeah. That's that. And if you want to connect with me, you can always contact me. You can find me on social media or Facebook, Nora Meldere and Nutrition.Movement.Mindset. You can find me on Instagram as Nora Meldere @LV. You also can find me on my website, norameldere.com. I'm going to be more than happy to talk. If you have any questions, anything that you might heard today, you have something to comment or, you know, question, or you have feedback for me, I'm always happy to hear it. Yeah, on a regular basis, there is availability for a free initial consultation if you would like to investigate a little bit more. Yeah, that's in general it.
Thank you so much. That was very interesting.
Thank
I
you.
hope you find it useful and you find, you know, you find yourself trying and testing these strategies, because, you know, giving a test doesn't hurt.
Nope. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Can you please repeat the names of the books? I didn't.
Okay, the first book was in regards to periods and what happens with our bodies, pre and post and so on. It's the Period Power. That's the book of it. And then
the next one, yeah.
The next one is the Marshmallow Test. It's about the changing of the habits and understanding self-control and how to master it.
Okay.
And then it's the Power of Habit. And then it's why we do what we do and how to change it. So how to stop running on the circles, and then how to step out of the habits. These are some useful, and these are all the easy reads. If English is not your first language, it shouldn't be a problem to read.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate everyone joining, and I hope you find it useful.
Very useful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Nora.
Welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Nora.
Bye.
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 Bye.